Hello everyone and welcome to an update on Project Ruby and how she's getting on after being visibly started on the driveway, and fingers crossed things are looking good. I have to report today that I took Ruby out on a little test drive off camera. I don't really need to show you too much, and to describe how it feels is very much in my own head. You can't see obviously the differences, but I am very pleased to report that the car not only drives much more better in the sort of 2000 to 3000 RPM rev range, it has just a little bit more punch than it had before. There is no loss of performance with this car now. In fact, it's quite punchy, significantly so, more so than most people would make out with Mark III Fiestas or any car of this age. Oh, they can't be fast. That's wrong. That's very wrong indeed. A very light car with a small and punchy engine like a CVH. Oh, it flies. I am chuffed to bits with this thing. You may wonder why I've just got the bonnet open just to do some underbonnet checks after a drive to and from the garage. Nothing severe. Put some fuel in. We're getting a few coughs as well, so I think the main jets might be a bit blocked as usual. A bit of a puff, a bit of a blow through of my mouth, and it's cleared itself again. I expected that. The car's been sitting for periods of a couple of weeks, and then I'll come back to it, and yeah, this is typical with classic cars of this age. But I have much positivity from under the engine bay. We have no major leaks. However, the sump plug wasn't quite done up enough. It was just weeping a bit of oil. I've tightened that up. The engine oil looks really good. It does look slightly grey at the end of the dipstick. The oil is fresh, but when you pull the dipstick out for the first time when the engine is cold, there's just a layer of grey stuff, and I've got a feeling that is either dirt from the work completed, excess bits of piston ring that are starting to be shaved down into the bore and straight into the sump mixed with the oil, and it's just separating and going to the top. There could be a few other things, but mainly it's very positive. Everything sounds good. The tappets are a little bit tappety still. I've got to be honest, I haven't put this car through its paces enough, but it is fractionally more tappety than it was before, which is frustrating. I've got a feeling that aftermarket hydraulic lifters are just not quite as good as, even though these are BGA ones and a BGA camshaft, they may not be as good as the originals. It may well be tested, proven there, but it's not loud at all. It is very sweet, and to be fair, compared with the Sigmas and Z-Techs that I've driven in the past and in the present, it sounds just the same, and that's a pretty good place to be for a CVH. Ford engines have never been known to be ultra smooth, but they can be when looked after, with a few bits of luck here and there. In terms of everything else, this is all good. There's no leaks, there's no water leaks. We've had a lot of stuff done under here. The steering coupler has made a difference as well. There's no squeaking at all. I mean, I could just... There's a fraction of squeaking actually, even from the new coupler. That's kind of to be expected. But there is no squeaking going over speed humps. And if I just go to this side, there's absolutely nothing going on, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I did push it hard over the speed humps. I wanted to sort of force it to misbehave, if you know what I mean, and there was absolutely no sound whatsoever. The new bottom arms, I can feel them working extremely well. This car now feels way more tighter down the road. It just feels more direct with the steering. However, this is quite a common problem, complaint, not a problem, but a complaint. When you have fitted new bottom arms with new ball joints, the ball joints are going to be stiff. They're going to be stiff to turn. And what I have felt is more of a reluctance of the steering wheel to self-center after turning a corner. It should just come back to the middle. It does that slightly, but not as willingly as the old ball joints. Now that is down to wear. That is wear of the ball joint in the socket. New ball joints will be more stiff, and therefore, obviously because the whole hub will pivot on that ball joint, if that's stiff, the steering will be a little bit stiffer to turn, and I have felt that through the steering, but it feels positive. It feels like it came out the factory. That's that kind of stiff. So I'm really pleased. There is no other issues. There is no blue smoke coming out the backside. However, typically on this channel, we never quite make it plain sailing, not at least with classic cars, because as soon as I pulled up on the driveway and wanted to pop the bonnet, something happened. Shall we see? Oh, yeah, don't panic, guys. The steering wheel didn't fall off in my hands. There is a very good reason why that steering wheel is over there, and it could be something to do with this. Now, ever since I've bought this car, it's always felt delicate, this bonnet release handle. It's made of plastic with a return spring up there, and well, it's given up. I think coldness of the winter may have, hey, it's a lovely day today, I have to say, for in the middle of the winter, but unfortunately where the cam for the bonnet cable goes through, can you see this? Yeah, that's gone. That shouldn't be like that. That should be nice and taut. It's just literally cracked right there. You can see it as well. I have luckily managed to get a new one, and it is ordered as of literally 2 minutes ago before this video started. I've had to remove the steering column as well. I will just give you some tips. There's 4 screws under this steering column, but it won't come off because of your choke mechanism here. Okay, you've got your choke switch here, and you've got your choke. Oh, I'm pulling the whole thing. Yeah, so that's the choke cable or the mechanism. What you will have is obviously you got the knob. Now it's held in onto this shaft. There's a hole just here. There's a little, there's a little tag. You've got to push that tag in and then pull, and it will come off. Then you have this piece which goes over here. Just sort of, it basically notches. You see that these notches here, it will just notch over this piece here. Okay, you see that? And it will sit there like that, and you need some long nose pliers, okay, some probably closed needle pliers to turn, just to stick in these 2 holes, turn this anti-clockwise, and it will just come off. Okay, so that's all loose, and we've dropped the column, and this is your bonnet release cable. I've just done it manually with my hands. I am going to have to stick that steering wheel back on because well, I've got a job on the Focus tomorrow, and there's been a bit of juxtapositioning going on, so I need this car to get me down the road again. But yes, but that's the story of today. Something that has possibly been going for some time has given up, and I've bought a completely new one. Just be very careful when pulling on these, because that is, personally, it's a design flaw, because when you're pulling this, it's pulling on this side, and it's always sort of coming down at an angle, and I think that's such a design flaw. It feels one of the most flimsiest pieces of this really well made interior, and it lets the interior down because this is so well made for 1989 and executed, but that's not well executed. That's a big thing with Ford, but it's lasted 35 years, I suppose, so it can't be that bad. It's certainly not as bad as the stuff that fails in modern cars. Just a top tip, guys, when you take the steering nut off the steering wheel, you just want to make sure that this is nice and loose, but also you got to put the key in to take the steering lock off. If this steering lock is here, it's not going to either go back on or come off. It's just gonna, why is my steering not coming off? Well, you need to put your key in and get the steering lock to come off. That's it. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you be. That was the update on Ruby. I'm sure I'll do a driving video at some point. So about 9 pluses and 1 negative as usual. Well, we'll cut out the misfiring, but everything else is really good. And my goodness me, I am very pleased with, so far, an engine that I rebuilt mostly on a bench in my flat, and that goes to say something. Take care, guys.